Anyways, I suppose we can go ahead and start. How about that?
I can stop playing.
Okay, yeah. And once other people gather, we will just invite more people to listen, and that's it. So, welcome to the event. By the way, Jairy isn't in the chat, but maybe somebody should tell him to.
I'm trying to get him in.
Okay. Alright. So anyway, welcome to the event. I'm very happy to see everyone here. Thanks for coming and finding the time of day to do this. And without further ado, I will recite a short passage about our club and what we do here. Just a second. Stories are lies, but great stories are truth disguised as lies. And we don't read and write poetry or stories because they're cute. We do it because we are members of the human race, and the human race is full of passion. I didn't mean it to sound so dramatic, but it kind of is the message, I suppose, behind our club. And this was the quote of John Keating from Dead Poets Society. So basically about the club and who it takes after. The Inklings were a literary group that included Tolkien and his friends. So it was a group of people who really enjoyed reading and writing fantasy. The most famous members were J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote Lord of the Rings, and also C.S. Lewis, who wrote the Chronicles of Narnia. These two writers seem to be the nucleus of the group, but they also invited like-minded spirits to join them for these informal meetings. Other members were all either writers or scholars. There are a few notable ones. For example, Charles Williams was a writer, a poet and theologist, and Owen Barfield, who was a writer and anthroposophist. Among other members, there were also Christopher Tolkien, son of the professor, and Warren Lewis, C.S. Lewis's brother. There were around 20 members in total. And the Inklings existed for about 20 years, from 1930 until 1949. Originally, the purpose of this group was to read unfinished tales. They would meet twice a week, either at C.S. Lewis's apartment or in a local pub called Eagle and the Child. Between them, they nicknamed this pub the Bird and the Baby. Incidentally, you can find a pub with that name in the Shire, in LOTRO, in Michael Delving. During their meetings, they read their literary work to each other and discussed them. Tolkien would bring passages from Lord of the Rings to read there. He received a lot of support and help from his friends, who encouraged him to keep writing his work. The name Inklings itself is a pun on the writers, who dabble in ink, but may only have an inkling of what they intend to write about when they begin a project. And interestingly, Inklings didn't come with their name themselves. They borrowed it from another literary society that had existed before them. Tolkien really enjoyed these meetings. In one of his letters, he called them a feast of reason and a flow of soul, which is a very poetical way to put it. And this is the spirit that we are trying to recreate here. So we bring stories to our meetings, mainly those that are set in Middle-earth. And we believe that a story is more than just a combination of words and events, because great stories speak to us on a deeper level, which is why humans have been reciting them from the dawn of time until now. We, the club members, meet on Saturdays to recite and enjoy these stories together. And remember, no matter what anybody says, thoughts and ideas can change the world. It sounds so dramatic. I didn't mean it to sound so dramatic, but anyway. Let us start our meeting then. I will go ahead and start with our first story. It was supposed to be a story's tale, but unfortunately she had an emergency and I am reciting instead of her. So I will start and tell you a story about the Great Hound of Valinor, called Huan, who has found his way into many hearts. The wolf hound wore a coat of white, and he stood above men and even elves. Originally, Huan was gifted from Orme the Hunter to the elf Celegorm, a son of Fëanor. Orme spoke this over Huan: "You have the gift of speaking 3 times before you die. Yet you will not die unless it is by the most fierce wolf to live. So Huan followed Celegorm everywhere he went, and when Celegorm crossed over to Middle-earth, Huan followed and stayed loyal to his master. Huan the Hound first encountered Luthien while hunting with Curufin and Celegorm, and though they led her to Nargothrond and imprisoned her, Huan grew to love her, and ultimately he helped her to escape. He then accompanied Luthien to the fortress of Sauron. At the bridge, Sauron sent wolves against them, one by one, but Huan defeated them all. At last, the first and greatest werewolf was sent, but Huan slew it as well. Sauron himself then took the form of a wolf to fight Huan, but Huan overcame him, forcing Sauron to flee. After Luthien rescued Beren, Huan remained by their side, even when his old master Celegorm ambushed them. Huan fought for Luthien. He caught one of the arrows meant for her, and then he brought a healing herb to Beren, who had been pierced by the other arrow. Later, when Beren and Luthien returned from Morgoth's realm, Huan met them at the borders of Doriath and helped tend to Beren's wounds, after which they all stayed in the kingdom of Doriath, and Luthien married Beren. It was not long until the great wolf carrying a Silmaril entered Doriath. Huan and Beren, along with others, went out to address this issue. In the final confrontation, the wolf leapt past Huan to attack Beren, mortally wounding him, but Huan killed the beast. After the battle, Huan spoke for the last time, bidding farewell to Beren before he died. Huan himself had sustained a mortal wound, and passed slowly after. It is unknown what happened to Huan after, although it is nice to think that he returned to Valinor, where perhaps he lived a life of hunting alongside Orme. This is the end of the story. We now have a moment where we can discuss it. Hope you enjoyed the story. Huan is definitely a very notable character.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I completely missed the part of the story where Luthien was imprisoned in Nargothrond. If I would have cut that part, I probably would have added that into the list of events that happened in the segment I'm going to be doing later. But still, I mean, I'm glad that you brought it up because that was a part of Nargothrond's history that I was not aware of. So, yeah,
Interesting.
I'm glad that you brought it up.
Well, there is just so many aspects to the lore. It's like very difficult to get them all, and especially like in one story, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Folk can definitely put a lot of work into making a lot of different branching routes in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah,
him,
I think so.
him, and Christopher.
Yeah.
Does anybody need fireworks? I almost forgot that we usually kind of launch them, so I got a lot from you.
Hey, they joined the chat.
There's Jerry.
Nice
Oh, hey Jerry.
to the show.
You're good.
All right, we have a moment to a moment more to discuss the story, if you like, and just take a short break before I recite the next one.
Cool.
How you doing, Jerry?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Awesome.
Hope you're doing well, having a good time.
I'm doing well.
Yeah,
I'm glad
we
I
are.
should be able to make
Cool.
it. I'm glad I finally got to make it to another one of the events, because usually I'm too busy to make it.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely glad that your work finally permitted you to come and join us at the event. Anyways, I suppose we can go ahead and start our next story, which is going to be King Greymantle, which is actually one of my favorite stories. It is definitely a very beautiful one, and even though it is kind of usually people think that Beren and Luthien are the most romantic story, but honestly I kind of like this one more if we're talking about like a romantic story. And Jerry, this will be the one that you've heard before, but anyway, I'm going to just
I don't
go right
mind
ahead.
hearing it again.
Nice, thanks. Okay, I'm going to start now. King Greymantle. Thranduil was an elven king. At his birth he was named Aveh. He was born at the lake Cuivenin, in the darkness that predated the sun. In those early times the elves had just come to life. They knew nothing about Valinor yet. But one day Orome, the great hunter of the Valar, discovered the elves. He chose 3 among them, and took them to the Blessed Realm. Those 3 elves would go on to become great kings. They would be the first of their king to see the light of the 2 trees of Valinor, that shone before the first rising of the sun. And Thranduil was one of them. Upon his return to Lake Cuivenin, Thranduil led his kindred westward. The journey was long and difficult. They always walked in the dark, with only stars to illuminate their path. The distance was longer than that of from the Shire to Mount Doom. The lands were wild. They had been tainted by the War of Powers. This ancient war had been waged between the Valar and Melkor, before the elves set on their westward march. Not all elves made it to the eastern shore. Many strayed away from their path and remained in Middle-earth. Now a few words need to be said about Melian. Melian was a Maya. She was a great and powerful spirit of the race of the Valar. She dwelt in the gardens of Valinor. There were few who could surpass her in beauty or wisdom. She was very skilled in songs of enchantment. The Valar would leave their works, and the birds their mirth, when Melian sang in Valinor. Nightingales went always with her, and she taught them their song. And she loved the deep shadows of the great trees. At the same time, when elves awoke to life at the Lake Cuivenin, Melian departed from Valinor and came to Middle-earth. Now let us go back to Thranduil. The Elven King and his people finally reached the western shores. They were resting in East Beleriand, beyond the river Galleon. Thingol went often through the great woods. One day he came alone to the starlit wood of Nan Elmoth, and there suddenly he heard the song of nightingales. Then an enchantment fell upon him, and he stood still. He heard the voice of Melian, and it filled all his heart with wonder and desire. He forgot then utterly all his people and their journey, and he followed the birds under the shadow of the trees. The Elven King passed deep into Nan Elmoth, and was lost. But he came at last to a glade open to the stars, where Melian stood. And out of the darkness he looked at her, and the light of Aman was in her face. She spoke no word, but being filled with love, the elf came to her and took her hand. A spell was laid on him. While they stood in the forest together, and the time felt like only several minutes, long years had actually passed. The stars moved very long distances overhead, and the trees of Nan Elmoth grew tall and dark before they spoke any word. Throughout the years, elves sought their king. Many of them departed across the sea. Finally, Thingol awoke from his long trance. He came forth from Nan Elmoth, hand in hand with Melian. His people gathered about him in joy, and they were amazed. Fair and noble as he had been, now he appeared as if he were a lord of the Mire. His hair was silver grey, he was the tallest of the children of Iluvatar, and high doom was before him. And Thingol was still had a great desire to go to Valinor. But in the face of Melian he beheld the light of Aman, as in an unclouded mirror, and in that light he was content. Thingol and Melian dwelt thereafter in the woods of Beleriand. Thingol never came again across the sea to Valinor. In after days he became a king renowned, and his people were named Sindar, the Elves of the Twilight, and he himself was King Greymantle, Thingol in the tongue of that land. History. And Melian was his queen, wiser than any child of Middle-earth. They dwelled in the hidden halls of Menegroth, the 1,000 caves, in Doriath. Great power Melian lent to Thingol, who was himself great among the Valar. The Eldar. He was great among the Eldar, obviously. Of their love, there came into the world the fairest of all the children of Iluvatar. Lúthien, Elrond, Arwen and Aragorn are all descendants of their line. Thank you for your attention. This is the end of this tale. Hope you enjoyed it.
I did. I'm just thoroughly enjoying this.
Oh yeah, I'm glad that so far all the stories all kind of link up because of all the different events that that they share in common. So it's just making the event really, really nice because you get to see different points of view from different areas during the first era.
Right.
It is, because it makes sense to have, that's why it makes sense to have them all tied to kind of like one theme. So this one is Beleriand, the one about Beleriand, and it is also kind of...
Yeah,
and
I also
it
like
is also...
because...
sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say it's nice because you can only fit so much into the story before it starts to drag on. So it's nice to hear different stories in different segments. That way, like say one person's story can only cover so much, but then the next person's story kind of fills in the parts that weren't covered.
Right.
Yeah, totally. And it's also kind of important that we're here because we picked this place specifically, because this is the closest that we can get to Beleriand in here, like I would learn. So after the sinking of Beleriand, we can't get any closer than that, and this is why kind of we chose the spot, and it is very beautiful, isn't it? It could be one of my favorite areas in the game too.
Hello, hello. That was the great
Hey,
story. Then I heard of it. Sorry, guys. I'm dog sitting. Elle knows this, but there was a little incident with the dogs. We're good.
Alright, so we can...
Hope it's all going well.
Yeah, I think they're okay.
That's good.
But yeah, that was a really
hopefully
good reading, Elle.
Thank you. Well, I'm kind of like growing really, well, not accustomed, but like I recite the story, and it's like probably the second time I've recited it, but I just enjoyed it so much when I was compiling it, because honestly, I think this is not talked about enough. Like Melian was a Maya, wasn't she? And everyone makes it to be a big deal that Beren and Luthien got married, even though they were an elf and a man. But I think when an elf marries a Maya, it's even more of a bigger deal, isn't it? Because like she's like a deity or something in this world. So
yeah, it's definitely like, you know that saying, it's like, or like, I guess it's kind of a meme in a way, but people are like, there's one thing that's not talked about enough. But I feel like this is the thing at Tolkien for, because yeah, Beren and Luthien are such a big deal, but then literally there's a Maiar married to an elf, and it's just not really discussed.
Jairy says that there is nothing more romantic between the love of the dwarf and his craft. Well, I don't think I can disagree with that. But I also kind of find it really poetic that basically Melian changed the course of time, like, didn't she? So that he would stay with her. This is like really this is such an interesting aspect of it. Like it definitely isn't talked about enough.
Well, I think this isn't my next story, but like there's other things that she did too that like she definitely used her powers to make sure that they were all that.
Mm-hmm. Would you like me? Oh, I suppose here you are. Yeah. I shall give the floor to you then.
Hello.
Check out my outfit, by the way. I tried to make it Beleriand.
I like the, what is it, burgundy?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
I wasn't expecting so many like characters to be here. That like startled me at first.
Yeah, that's the tunes, but still, yeah, it's nice to see a crowd.
Very nice. All right. The next story that I will be reading is called The First Battle of Beleriand. Now, not many would believe what I'm about to say. For our world today is very different than it once was. To understand the first battle, we must understand what the world was like. For a time, Morgoth was imprisoned in Valinor. This imprisonment allowed elves and dwarves to wander freely in Beleriand. Important kingdoms were established, and respectful relationship arose between the elves and the dwarves. Among these elves were Thranduil and his Maiar wife Melian. With her foresight, Melian warned Thranduil eventually evil would come. Alongside the dwarves, Thranduil and his people built Menegroth, the capital city of Doriath. Menegroth was built with a system of caves where both elves and dwarves lived. Although the dwarves had their own strongholds as well. Not long after the dwarves told Thranduil they had spotted evil creatures roaming, the elves became armed, and the dwarves crafted more weapons and armor. They were able to drive out the evil creatures, ensuring more peace. That was until Morgoth was released again. He came to Beleriand seeking to take power. The orcs that had secretly been multiplying rallied under his banner. He sent the orcs in division, some to the west and some to the east. Thingol was prepared for these orcs and rallied him. That does not mean he did not face setbacks. In the west, his armies were pushed back and besieged. In the east, he sent messages to Denethor, leader of a small sect of elves, to fight the oncoming. While Denethor and his elves fought well, the orcs were well armored. Both him and those with him fell before Thingol arrived. Once Thingol landed with his company, they claimed victory over the orcs. With the east won, Thingol returned to his throne. Melian used her powers to encircle Doriath with a wall that would shield it from. They left eastern Beleriand to fend for itself. The east, where Suradan reigned, was besieged until the orcs were recalled to fight the north. This battle would have lasting effects on those living in the area. The Lake Geldrum elves would no longer take part in other battles, nor choose another king after Denethor's death. The cities of the Haven would sustain massive damage during the siege and would have to be rebuilt. This first battle was only the beginning, and its rocky outcome echoed the outcome of future war. As such, we come to the end of this.
Nice.
And also to clarify, this is a different Denethor than the Steward of Gondor Denethor, because it was kind of confusing when I was researching it.
It's
Yeah,
kind of
got that.
funny that they have the same name. I wonder why they do.
I mean, it's kind of like how Dane Ironfoot's son is named Thorin.
Right. It is. It definitely threw me off because I was researching for it and it was like, yeah, and then like Denethor died and I was like, what is Denethor doing here?
Right.
Definitely is supposed to be born, like the Gondor Denethor would be born like several centuries later. In the
Yeah.
fourth age, and in the third age he would be born. So yeah, this is definitely odd. But they are just simply namesakes, I suppose.
This is... But I also found it I didn't even know about like his section or like group of elves, and it's like kind of sad that after their king died, they just never chose another one, and they like didn't really get involved anymore. They secluded themselves, which it makes sense. I feel like Thranduil kind of did the same thing with his Mirkwood elves. But for different reasons.
Yeah, I definitely need to do some more research on the one underground kingdom that you were talking about, because yeah, it's really nice to see how much they try to illustrate with Christopher's writings in the first era of how dwarves and elves used to live together. So I just find that very fascinating, because it's more common whenever you see people thinking about the rivalry between the two, but it's nice to see them actually coexisting in that
Yeah.
part of the timeline.
Well, I suppose
definitely
they are more similar than it appears, because the Noldor elves were also very into their craft, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they
it's
can exist together, obviously, as we see in history.
Yeah. And during my research I found that Menegroth was actually like the dwarves helped build it as well for mine. So it was they worked together to build this really beautiful and then dwarven halls within as well. Even though of course
Nice.
they had their own stronghold.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll write a thing about that in the future.
Yeah.
Well, I just remember...
really early history. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, Jerry. No, I suppose you can go ahead, and I'll tell you my thoughts when you finish with yours.
Yeah, I never knew much about the early history from Lord of the Rings. But I grew up with Hobbit and then Lord of the Rings. You know, the three main books. But it's interesting because now there is a show on TV. I think it's Netflix. I'm not positive. Um, called The Rings of Power, and it's
Yep.
the early, and it's good. And there's a lot of facts.
Yeah,
I
I
recommend
definitely
it.
agree.
Well, when you start researching the background, Jerry, it's basically a wormhole. So you can probably never fully know everything because there are.
It never ends.
Yeah, I do feel
Yeah.
like sometimes it doesn't end. Exactly.
Yeah, I imagine so. I fall down the rabbit.
It's like trying to learn 40k lore. Once you think you know enough, you learn there's more that you don't know.
Yeah, and there are no good people in the 40k lore too.
Oh, absolutely
Just
not.
either antagonists or great characters, aren't they?
Yeah.
But that's a whole different kind of lore section. So today we're just focusing on Tolkien's lore, and there is obviously a lot of messed up things in here too. Like, not gonna lie. It just sounds like a fairy tale before you start really diving into it.
Very true.
Looking at you, Turambar.
Can you remind me, what did he do, Turin? Is he father? No, is he father of Earendil, or that's Tuor?
Tordin's son of Odin, but yeah, that's a whole nother revel. Essentially, he didn't realize that he basically found his sister that he never met, and she had amnesia, and yeah.
Oh,
some things
yeah,
happened.
the Children of Turin. The Children of Hurin, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have been avoiding that book as much as
Oh,
I
yeah.
could. Alright, this is now the time for my next story. And I will be starting on the next one, which is called Awakening of the Elves. Which is not technically part of Beleriand lore, but it is a story of how the elves arrived at Beleriand and started to live there. So, let me tell you how the elves came to exist in Middle-earth, and how they ended up marching westward to Valinor. Middle-earth lay in twilight, under the stars. There was no sun and moon in the sky. They had not yet been created. But the oldest living things had already arisen. Great weeds in the seas, and shadows of great trees on earth. And in the valleys there roamed dark creatures, old and strong. Forests were put into deep sleep, awaiting the first rising of the sun. In darkness they were haunted by shapes of dread. Meanwhile, the Valar dwelt in Aman, an island to the far west. The land was brightly illuminated by the light of the two trees. Yavanna, the Earth Mother, was deeply grieved for Middle-earth, and for the children of Iluvatar, elves and men, who were destined to wake up in the darkness. Then Warda, the kindler of the skies, took the silver dews from Tilberian, a giant glowing tree, and she fashioned bright stars out of them. Thus rose many constellations. Among them was the great constellation of Menelmakar, the swordsman of the sky. He forebodes the last battle that shall be at the end of days. When Menelcamar strode up in the sky for the first time, the firstborn children came to life. The elves awoke in the northeastern region of Middle-earth. That place is called Quivenan, Water of Awakening. The light of the stars was the first thing they ever saw. And from then on, above all else, they worshipped Warda, the Kindler of Skies. And the first sound that the elves heard was the sound of water. Melkor, the enemy of the world, found out about the coming of elves before the Valar did. The most ancient songs of the elves tell of shadow shapes in the hills above Quivenan. The elves sang about a dark hunter or a black rider, and those elves who strayed far from their camp at Quivenan were lost forever. Among the Valar there was also a hunter, the glorious Orome. He often came to Middle-earth from Aman, and rode through the darkness. He was hunting evil and dark creatures. Orome found the elves by chance. He loved them at once, and he named them Eldar, the people of the stars. But since he was a hunter, many of the elves confused him with the enemy. They fled and got lost in the darkness. Only the noblest of the elves didn't run. They looked at Orome and saw the light of Aman in his face. Tragedy awaited the lost elves. Melkor twisted and corrupted them. This is how the first orcs appeared, the bitterest enemy of the elves. To protect the elves from Melkor, the Valar waged a great war of powers against him and took him captive. Then they summoned the elves to come and live in Valinor. The elves were hesitant at first. So Orome visited them again, and chose 3 ambassadors among them. Elve, their names. Ingwe, Finwe, and Elve. The 3 elves went with him to Valinor to speak on behalf of their people, and only then did the elves agree to move westward. The first host was led by King Ingwe, the noblest lord of the elfish race. His people were called the Vanyar, the Fair Elves. Manwë and Varda, the king and queen of Valinor, loved them above all other elves. Few men have ever spoken with any of the Vanyar, and Ingwe himself has remained in Valinor and never looked again on Middle-earth. Next, Finwë led his company westward. His people were the Noldor. They are called Deep Elves, or the Elves of Knowledge. They are friends with Aule, the Valar of Crafts. Last came the people of Elve. They hesitated a lot, and tarried on the road. But they deeply loved the sea, and became known as the Felmari, the Sea Elves. These 3 kindreds were called Elves of Light. But many of the Telari elves tarried on the road, and never arrived to Valinor. Some of them chose to stay and live on the banks of Anduin, close to the Misty Mountains. These people are known as the Nandor, returning elves. They separated from the rest of their king. The Nandor elves loved water, and dwelt most beside falls and running streams. They had greater knowledge of trees, herbs, birds and beasts than all other elves. They never beheld the light of Aman that was before the sun and moon, and they are called Elves of Darkness. Many of the Vanyar and Noldor elves reached the lands of Beleriand. But when they stepped on the western shore of the sea, they were afraid of it. Many of them withdrew into the woods and highlands of Beleriand, and remained there. So this is the story of Elves, the firstborn children of Levitar.
Very
Loved
nice.
it.
Thank you. I find it really interesting that they were divided into groups basically by how much they wanted to go to Valinor. Like, not by families or something, just like if they were the first to arrive in Valinor, they were. The first company was the Vanyar. And then those who were like in the middle, those were the Noldor. And like those who were the last to come, they were Teleri. So it's not like biological differences or genetic differences, just how much they wanted to see Valinor. It's kind of funny to me.
Yeah. It was also crazy because, like, when I first got into Lord of the Rings stuff, I just thought all the elves woke up in Valinor. So I hadn't realized, like, obviously now I know, but I hadn't realized that they weren't originally all in Valinor.
Well, I suppose it's Middle-earth that was kind of like their real first home. It's probably where they were supposed to live if it wasn't destroyed. If the lands weren't destroyed through all the wars, they would have lived here, probably. Although there are, of course, so many unanswered questions in Silmarillion, like, I don't think we get like a real explanation why the Valar couldn't just move back to Middle-earth. So they just did. They just didn't. They just wanted to live in Valinor. They didn't want to go back. And this is why they also wanted elves to live with them. And this is why the whole westward march and the whole destiny of elves that lies like in the far west.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just sitting with it because it's so
I think you're
What was
breaking
your
up.
favorite part? Oh.
Can you say it again?
What was your favorite part? Like, after doing the research?
You mean of the story?
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed details on different. I really enjoyed all the details about how the elves were drawn to water. Like some of them, the Teleri elves, they were very. They are called the sea elves because they love the water most. And the dark elves that lived in that remained in Middle Earth, they were also drawn towards water, like rivers and streams, and they lived there. And this is why, like, I think they could be the same family, basically, of elves. But it is very interesting to think about. Although I definitely did not enjoy researching about all the, like, my brain was exploding because there are so many branches of elves. Like, I have just given you a very basic summary of, like, the main branches, but there are many, many more. And yeah, I'm probably thinking that Talder is happy that the dwarves are much easier to research.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it is very interesting, but I'm not gonna lie, my brain was exploding because there are elves of light and elves of dark and grey elves, but there are also, they started mixing up, and there were so many like shades of elves, basically. And but an interesting fact is that if I understand correctly, Galadriel's elves are all dark elves, the elves that never came to Valinor. Well, I mean, she herself is Noldor, because she went to Valinor and then she came back to Middle-earth. But the elves that she rules over, they have never seen Valinor, so they are all elves of dark. This is what they're called. And they are probably not very excited about the prospect of eventually going to Valinor.
Yeah.
You were saying about your head exploding. Mine's about ready to explode.
I
I'm
really tried
just
to make it
learning
simple.
it all.
Evelyn.
It's all very interesting.
Thank you.
Awesome. Are we ready to move on to the next story?
Yeah, I think so, because it is, according to the time, it definitely is, and the floor is yours
Yeah.
again.
Alright. I will be talking about the travels of Thranduil. And forgive me, I always struggle with his name, even though I love him so much. But it also has a lot to do with his father. So you'll see what I mean once we get into it. Thranduil, the Elven King of Mirkwood and father of Legolas, has roots stretching all the way back to the First Age. Born in Doriath as a Thindran elf, he and his father, Ophir, survived the fall of their homelands. After the destruction brought on by the Silmarils in the Wars of Beleriand, rather than sail west to Valinor when the chance came, they chose to remain in Middle-earth, and eventually settled among the Sylvan Elves of the Greenwood the Great, where Ophir founded the Woodland Realm. Though Ophir tried to keep his people separate from the growing conflicts of Middle-earth, Sauron's rise forced him into war. During the last alliance, Ophir had led a great host of Sylvan Elves against Mordor, but was killed after charging too soon into battle. Thranduil survived, though 2/3 of their army was lost. And afterward he returned north to rule as king of the Woodland Realm. As centuries passed, darkness slowly crept into the Greenwood. Sauron, hidden as the Necromancer, established Dol Guldur in the south, corrupting the forest into what became known as Mirkwood. In response, Thranduil moved his people further north and established his underground halls, inspired by the ancient caves of Menegroth from his youth. By the time of the adventures of the hobbits, Thranduil ruled cautiously, but not without kindness. Though suspicious of Thorin's company, he later aided the people of Lake Town after Smaug's destruction, and fought alongside men and dwarves in the Battle of Five Armies. Later, following the War of the Ring, Thranduil helped reclaim and heal the forest, renaming it Earendil the Seafarer, the Wood of Green Leaves. In the end, one of Thranduil's greatest legacies came through Legolas, whose friendship with Gimli helped mend the ancient divide between elves and dwarves. And these are the short travels of Thranduil. Unfortunately, we do not have a ton on him, although I find him a very interesting figure.
That was really interesting.
Thanks, Evelyn.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. Great story.
I feel like, unfortunately, his legacy is kind of overshadowed by his father. Because I didn't get into it because it's about Thranduil, but Ophir basically completely disregarded the charge, or the signal of the one in charge of the armies at that battle, and because of that cost him almost all of his elves, and it almost cost the entire battle. So after that, a lot of people didn't trust the Mirkwood elves.
I want to say they actually reference that in the intro quest. So if you play as a high elf, I want to say they actually speak of
they
that.
do. They most certainly do.
I wonder why he charged so fast. Like, is there like a canonical reason? Was he impatient or something?
Maybe arrogance.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if this is canon, but from everything I've read, it's just that he didn't want. So Gil-galad was the one in charge of directing the elven armies, and basically he didn't want to follow Gil-galad's commands.
Interesting, yeah, so
kind of arrogance or pride.
it sounds like it, probably. Although I wonder why he would have a problem with Gil-galad, because, Gil-galad was, he's kind of supposed to be like a really, well, not exactly a good elf, but he was supposed to be like very noble, I think, and he had this reputation, as far as I understand.
Yeah, and I'll step aside so you can go ahead and get your band ready. I know that it takes a little setup.
Evelyn, please play wherever it is convenient. Like, you can play right here.
Yeah. But
we still have a few minutes before, like a couple of minutes, and then feel free to start.
Yeah.
I just like giving a heads up because I know you got phonebook and all that stuff. But I don't know. Also, it may have been because he was like there for Doriath, and like him and his father, or for like saw the destruction of Doriath and all the like horror of that, and so he thought he knew better, or something. I'm not sure.
Well, it is sad that this is how it happened, and I suppose after that the Mirkwood Elves became kind of separated from the rest, right?
Yeah. For sure. Also, please don't fall off that balcony, Teldir. So, like, oh my god.
I think that I think Teldir is probably wishing we had more dwarf stories, but unfortunately we kind of like exhausted our dwarf stories at the last event. So.
Oh no.
Focusing more on elves.
I'm plinking.
Planking. Oh dear.
You're ridiculous.
Yeah, it's fun.
He should take and run with the fact that the doors made the rings of.
Yeah.
Hey. You ready to play music, Jerry?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm not first. He's got a solo.
Our first is a solo. Assassin's Creed, the Black Flag theme. And I'll be playing it. Are you ready for us to play now, or?
Absolutely.
Alrighty, here we go.
Again.
Decide which instrument you wanted to play, Jerry? Okay, I guess we're done. I'm still working on getting my other bots ready.
All good. That was wonderful. I love the lineup today, by the way, even though I haven't heard it all yet.
What was that?
I said that I love the lineup, even though I haven't heard it all yet.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was our short one. Here, let me TTF. One more. Look, wait a minute. Evie doesn't have one. That's alright. Well, here, I'll get her off. Hang on a second here. I'll start her back up for fake playing as soon as I'm... Oops. Oh, no. This is the attack on the Titans. That was a teaser.
It's okay.
Okay, now, and we have to do some changing of instruments here, so. Jerry, which one were you? Which one were you gonna pick for the ancient dance one? You want the clarinet or the horn? Or the pibgorn? Can you do the pibgorn? Jerry?
Jerry has been replaced by his bot.
Hope not.
Well, how am I supposed to?
Well,
Jerry?
you can probably play the next one, or if he's not here, or you can.
It's this one I can do. I can ready up without him. Here.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter in which order they go. Just play one, and we'll see you, Jerry.
Okay. Well, the next one I need him. So.
Cool.
Not this one, but the next one. Okay.
All
let
right.
me TT.
It's okay. I'm getting a good little smoke break in between my dancing.
Okay.
Have you used your eagle firework? Oh,
Sorry?
have you
What
used
is-
your eagle firework?
Well, it's not exactly. I can't use it because it's not consumable. It's basically a skill. And yeah, I have launched it a few times. I can do it now.
Yeah,
That's it.
I got mine too.
Oh, you did. Isn't it such a cool one?
Yeah. I love how we all look like me and Arrow turned to look at Teltier.
Yeah.
I will launch one mine now too.
Okay. I am ready to be playing. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. This is the ancient Aveh ancient dance song. Jairy picked these songs out.
I like them.
Yeah, especially if it's an ancient one. That's really cool. An ancient dance song seems very suitable for the event.
Thank you. We might have 2 Pibgorns in this song right now. I see Jairy has his out too.
Still sounds very nice.
Oh, he turned his mic off and can't get it back on. That's what's going on.
That's something I would do. That's something I have done.
I know, I hear you.
Yeah, that's Jairy.
Okay, let me figure out the next song.
Well, we can probably skip it. Or you can just play something else if Jairy isn't here. So...
You want the LOA back, Jairy? Just type your answer. Okay, you can take that next. Yeah, don't change now. Okay, quick change artist here. Right. And Jairy, quickly for the LOA. Jairy?
Evelyn, actually, we kind of could maybe continue with the stories. And if Jairy returns, maybe we can play the song after we finish. Because, like, the time...
Okay.
Does that sound good?
That sounds good. Sounds
Awesome.
good.
Awesome. We'll
Although
give...
this is the song that you picked.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'll-
Okay, Jairy's here, so we can...
Oh, fix squiggly, Jairy. Okay, I see you ready. Okay. We're gonna play then, right? This is Excalibur theme.
Yeah, it's my pick.
Yeah. Awesome song. fun.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear this theme live because we enjoyed it in recording on Jairy's server.
Yeah, it was really good. Thank you for the music. I'm gonna have us switch over to Elle because she's the next one up. And that way we can try to keep our timeline just in case anyone has anywhere else to be.
Okay.
But thank you so much. That was so lovely.
Oh, you're welcome. I had fun doing it.
I had fun listening.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I can take the floor from now, and I will be reciting the story of Earendil, which is a beautiful legend, and probably one of the most famous of the Silmarillion. Earendil was an elven king of great beauty. In his face, there was the light of heaven. He had the wisdom of the Eldar, and the strength of the man of old, and the sweet spoke ever in his heart and in his ear. Earendil lived in Beleriand in the First Age. He had a fair wife named Elving, and 2 sons, Elrond and Elras. This is the story of his journey. Earendil was restless, for he wished to sail west into the Undying Lands. He longed for a chance to meet his deceased father and mother, as well as to request the aid of Valar against Morgoth. These 2 purposes grew in his heart, blended as one, in longing for the wide sea. Earendil befriended Thranduil the shipwright, and with his aid he constructed a great ship. It would be called Vengelot, the foam flower, the fairest of the ships of song. Golden were its oars, white its timbers, hewn in the birch woods of Nimbrathil, and its sails were as the argent moon. Vengelot would carry Earendil across the sea on many voyages, while he searched for the Undying Lands. Despite his efforts, Earendil could never reach Valinor. The Blessed Realm was protected from outside intrusion by powerful enchantments. Repellent winds drove Earendil away. Longing to see Elwing his wife, he turned back to Beleriand. His heart bade him haste, for a sudden fear had fallen on him out of dreams. Elwing waited for her husband at home. She had one of the 3 Silmarils in her keeping. The Silmarils were the most beautiful and precious jewels to ever exist in Middle-earth. Many powerful creatures wanted to obtain them. Elwing's Silmaril was passed down to her by her parents, Ban and Lúthien, who had won it from Morgoth, who had in turn stolen them from their maker, Fëanor. Maedhros, son of Fëanor, sought the Silmaril. He had an oath to fulfill, to recover the jewel made by his father. He tried to approach Elwing in friendship, but at the same time his demand to return the Silmaril was stern. Elwing and the Elves of Sirion refused it. They believed that in the Silmaril lay the healing and the blessing that had come upon their houses and their ships. This forced Maedhros to attack the Elves. Thus came to pass the last and the cruelest of the slayings of elf by elf. Elros and Elrond were taken captive, and Elwing, in her desperation, threw herself into the sea with the Silmaril. Yet Elwing lived. Ulmo, the Valar of the Sea, bore her up out of the water and gave her the likeness of a white bird. Thus she flew across the water, and she eventually came to Earendil. On a time of night her husband stood at the helm of his ship. He saw a white cloud flying towards him beneath the moon, a pale flame on wings of storm. Elwing fell onto his ship, Vengelot, in a swoon, still bearing the Silmaril. And in the morning, Earendil saw that the bird was indeed his wife. With marvelling eyes he beheld his wife in her own form beside him. Earendil and Elwing grieved deeply for the Elves of Sirion who had been slain. They feared greatly for the fate of their sons. But Elrond and Elros had not been slain. Maglor, son of Fëanor, took pity upon them. He cherished them, and love grew after between them. Yet Earendil saw no hope left in the lands of Middle-earth. He came not home, but sought again the way to Valinor, with Elwing at his side. He stood now most often at the prow of Vengelot, and the Silmaril was bound upon his brow. Its light grew greater as they sailed further into the west. With the light of the Silmaril, they could navigate through the darkness and enchantments defended in the Blessed Realm. They came to the enchanted isles, and escaped their enchantments. They came into the shadowy seas, and passed their shadows. And they looked upon Tol Eressëa, the lonely isle, but tarried not. And at last they cast anchor in the Bay of Eldamar. Then Earendil, first of the living men, landed on the immortal shores. He forbade his crew to set foot on the Blessed Realm, lest the wrath of the Valar would fall upon them. But Elwing followed her husband part of the way. But Earendil ventured to meet the Valar alone. Eowyn, herald of Manwë, greeted him with the following words: "Hail, Earendil of mariners most renowned. He looketh for that cometh at unawares, the longed for what cometh beyond hope. Hail, Earendil, bearer of light before sun and moon. Splendor of the children of Earth, star in the darkness, jewel in the sunset, radiant in the morning. Eonwe summoned Earendil to come before the powers of Arda. Earendil told to the Valar of the hardships of elves and men. He begged for their help in the struggle against Morgoth. The Valar said yes, and began to prepare for war. The Great War of Wrath lasted for over 40 years. Morgoth's armies were gradually beaten back, and even the Balrogs could not withstand. As a final resort, Morgoth released the Great Winged Dragons, led by Calagon the Black. But Earendil came out of the sky. With the help of the Eagles, he slew Calagon. Morgoth was brought before the wrath of the Valar. The remaining two Silmarils were taken from him. They chained him, and cast their enemy through the doors of night, into the outer void. But it is said that he would return for the last battle, before the end of the world. Earendil himself was taken up into the void, on his ship Wingillot, and the Silmaril was fastened upon his brow. Thus was a new star set in the heavens, Earendil, the morning star. Thank you, this is the end of the story.
That was so
Very
nice. I'm just loving these readings.
Thank you, Evelyn. This is indeed a very beautiful legend. Thank you, Jairy.
Once again, I didn't know that he actually helped to slay, like, the dragons. I think the dragons in Middle Earth are so cool. Anyways, I'm kind of sad theory, but that's cool that he took part in that.
He, like, if you're speaking chronologically, I was rereading this part of the story in Beleriand before we started. And basically he was first made into a star. I was saying it like, I was telling it more like to make the story good, but chronologically, he never came to Middle Earth. They took him to the void from Valinor, made him into a star. And then he, as a star, descended, and he had a group of eagles with him, the Maiar, and they together slayed the Angalgon. But this is actually, I think it is time for our next story. I see that Taldor is ready. And we can give floor to Taldor now with his story of Nargothrond. So, please welcome Jairy. Please welcome Taldor. Jairy is on my phone. Ron Dwarf. Yeah. Everyone welcome.
Okay.
Taldor, the first time reciting the story for us for the first time.
Yep, bear with me, I'll do this.
Okay.
Alright, well, when we're ready.
Wait.
Alright.
Alright, here I go. During the days of Beleriand, there existed a great underground kingdom known as Nargothrond. Nargothrond was a unique elven kingdom that was ruled by Finrod Felagund, elder brother of Galadriel. During Nargothrond's initial construction, Finrod had enlisted the aid of the petty dwarves, including the dwarf Mim. Due to previous transgressions between the petty dwarves and the elves, Mim deeply hated the elves and would attempt to slay Finrod. For this action, Mim and the petty dwarves were exiled from the halls of Nargothrond. In time, the petty dwarves would die off, leaving Mim as the last survivor of his people. Mim later befriended and eventually betrayed Thorin Tormbar. Mim then set out to wander the land alone. Finrod then enlisted the aid of the dwarves from the Blue Mountains, who later formed a strong bond and mutual respect for Finrod's people. During the construction of Nargothrond, the dwarves were paid well for their work. One such form of payment given to the dwarves was an assortment of rare gems that Finrod had brought from Valinor. The dwarves honored their union with Finrod and his people by using the gems to craft the Nauglamir. The Nauglamir was a gemstone necklace of great beauty which the dwarves gifted to Finrod as a symbol of their friendship. After the kingdom's completion, Finrod ruled Nargothrond for many years until the Great War against Morgoth began. During the conflict, Finrod fought Morgoth in battle and met his end. After Finrod's death, his nephew Orodreth was named Nargothrond's new king. During his rule, Orodreth was aided by Thorin Tormbar with counseling Nargothrond's army. One of Thorin's decisions included constructing a great bridge to aid the elves with crossing the river Narog. For a time, the bridge benefited the elves of Nargothrond, allowing them swift passage to the battlefield. This would change with the coming of Glaurung, father of dragons. With news of Glaurung's inevitable arrival, many warned Nargothrond to destroy the bridge and halt the opposition's advance. These warnings went unheeded, and Nargothrond's forces faced defeat during the Battle of Unnumbered Years. After their defeat, the elves of Nargothrond fled to the hall's defenses to make their last stand. Nargothrond was inevitably sacked and conquered by Glaurung. After the battle, Nargothrond's inhabitants were imprisoned by Morgoth's forces. In an act of deceit, Glaurung allowed Thorin to depart the halls on a fool's errand which resulted in the death of his lover Thranduil. Glaurung then remained in Nargothrond, resting on his treasure hoard until word of Thorin and his deeds reached him. Seeking a challenge, Glaurung departed his hoard to face Thorin. The battle resulted in both of their deaths. With Glaurung dead and Nargothrond left vacant, the petty dwarf Mim reclaimed Nargothrond, viewing it and its treasures as his by right. In time, Horin, father of Thorin, made his way to Nargothrond to confront Mim. Horin knew of how Mim betrayed Thorin and caused the death of his allies. In an act of vengeance, Hodin slew Mim for his treachery and all the harm that he had caused. After Mim's death, Hodin searched the halls and found the Nauglamir in Nargothrond's treasury. Hodin later delivered the Nauglamir to Thingol, king of Doriath, initially out of spite, and then out of remorse. With his task completed, Hodin departed Doriath and roamed the land aimlessly, never to be seen again. After Hodin's departure from Nargothrond, none would ever again inhabit the halls of the Underground Kingdom. Although it met a sad end, Nargothrond had influenced major events during the Wars of the First Age. It would inevitably fade into legend until the final days of Beleriand and sink into the sea. Nargothrond now lives on in song and story, told by those who remember its importance during the early days of Middle-earth in its fight against Morgoth's evil. That's the end of the tale.
That was really neat.
Thanks,
That was
Elder.
amazing.
Very enjoyable.
Yeah, it was more of a series of events rather than a story, but still, I mean,
We kind of have like an encyclopedia fragment
Yeah.
from you for the events that happened at that time. And I can see that the dragons never change. They always want to conquer a place, preferably made by dwarves, and to just live on the pile of gold. Probably.
On a pile of gold, yep.
yeah, it was more of a summary of events rather than a more detailed account of some of the other stories. But I mean, it's a
I
general
like
area.
it.
It's a general area, so there's a lot of details to put on.
Yeah, definitely. With Tolkien lore, it is always very challenging to keep track of what happened and like to get all the details. But it's still very nicely done, Elder. Thanks, and congrats on your first story with us.
Okay, thanks
Yes.
for having me.
Always happy to have you.
Oh yeah.
I think Mim is such a tragic figure, isn't it? I mean, like, he probably did some questionable things, right? Like trying to kill Finrod, but at the same time, kind of feels like well, he was one of the petty dwarves, right? So he was like already not in a good position. Everyone probably looked down on him. I do kind of feel like he was a pretty tragic character, wasn't he?
I agree with that. Because it was almost like he couldn't help who he was, you know? Like, I feel like, I mean, yeah, most of the petty dwarves, like, they got cast out because they didn't meet the standards in a way, right? Like, they were too small, or, like, they weren't, it was like, feeling like they weren't good at the craft, and so they got cast out, and, like, they couldn't really help that, you know?
I don't know. Maybe if they treated him differently, things could have been different. And he did do some good things in the end.
Right.
We can take a moment to discuss the story because, like, according to our plan, sorry, your little bird starts in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe just took off.
Jerry was mad about the elves.
Poor Gary. I
Even
don't
in
worry
chat,
what he
he
didn't tell
was-
me.
He took it personally.
Jerry, yeah, Jerry put in chat, I was expecting more dwarves, less elves.
I mean, there were dwarves in my story.
Right.
Yeah, well, for the
I mean-
dwarves, unfortunately, Jerry, if you're listening, we had a dwarves event in April, so sadly you missed that. And this one is kind of... I meant it to be like both elves and dwarves, but then I knew that Elder decided to come and recite the story, so I kind of like relaxed about the dwarves, and this is why we got so few of them this time.
Well,
I mean, I had
Jerry said, I hit some key and poof, I went away.
Oh, no.
He didn't leave it on purpose.
Yeah,
Elder,
unfortunately, I
what
had
do you
already,
think? Elder, what
Yeah.
do you think?
I was saying, unfortunately, I had already done a segment on Azagal, so yeah.
Yeah, but that one was really good too. I never knew that a
Ron
dwarves... Yeah, you should probably repeat
Ron
the
dwarf.
story sometime. Yeah, sorry, Elder. I think you should probably repeat the story sometime because I think it was really enjoyable. And before you told it, I never knew that there was actually a dwarf who slayed the dragon. This is so cool. That's good.
Yeah, he didn't slay Glaurung, he just mortally wounded him. That was
Yeah, well, it's
Hodin.
close enough, right? Close enough.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, Glaurung is no joke. He's like
No.
the progenitor of dragons, isn't he? Like, he's probably not as... I say he's probably next after Uncalaban Black in strength.
Yeah, Glaurung's main influence that he had is that he could manipulate people and, essentially just make them do what he wants them to do. Even though he's not as strong as some of the other dragons, he was still very good at getting people to, put themselves in situations that they don't want to be in. And he can also wipe their memories and, like with Tony's sister, gave her back her memory and caused all kinds of mischief.
Yeah, definitely. Dragons are famous for that. Like, I mean, like, even Smoke, he also used a lot of cunning, didn't he? He didn't just attack enemies, he could talk, he could, like, guess riddles, like in the fragment with Bilbo. Which is probably a scary thing about dragons, is that they're not just strong, they are also very clever.
Evie says Jerry's still listening.
Yes, I was just
Yeah,
asking,
yeah.
like, if you can ask him if maybe he's riding back. I suppose we can wait for him if he wants.
He's still with us in spirit.
He can hear you. He said, make sure they know how much I like their stories, please.
Thanks,
And when I
Jerry.
tried doing that, Evie started walking away. She has a habit of misbehaving.
Well,
Without
you
me
know.
knowing.
You know how this hobbit can be.
Yeah, no. Oh, one time Olaf walked away. It was
Oh,
like,
no.
oops.
I
Yeah,
just-
that was in practice, though, thank goodness.
I have just realized that we have always at the event today. We have dwarf, we have elf, we have a story. I spilled your woman.
Man or woman, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not sure about Earendil. Like, if we could only have a high elf, then we'll be like totally set. But still good enough. I can represent the elves.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah.
I think my character is like not a high elf. She's like probably a dark elf. I forgot her backstory. I mean, like in the I forgot where I chose to.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I chose to be a hobbit because I love book Hobbit.
Sorry,
I still haven't made.
I chose to be a hobbit because I love the book Hobbit.
Oh, right,
Great
yeah.
Nice.
It is. Very nice book. I love it too. Sorry, if
So
you're
this-
ready, we can...
Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying that, Evelyn, you can say what you were going to say, and then we can, probably start with the next story.
That's okay. Good. I'm okay.
Yeah, well, I want to welcome back, welcome to the stage Astoria, who is going to be reciting her story about Little Bird. I mean, it's called Little Bird, exactly, yeah.
Yes.
Please give her some applause.
Alright. So, Little Bird is an original, and I'll discuss the inspiration behind it after I finish. I had just finished peeling potatoes as the sun began to rise over the town of Bree. Folks were beginning to bustle about, moving towards their task for the day, but some of us had been up for the past few hours, readying for the day already. A flash of red caught the corner of my eye, and I turned to the side, smiling. "Morning," my sister Karen grins. "Morning," and Joy sleeping in. She ignored my question. "All done with your work?" "Just finished." She bounced on her heels. "Does that mean we can get some practice in before our chores?" I sighed through my smile. I had given in to her request to learn to fight with a sword one time, and now she asked every day. "Sure, grab our things and meet me back here." I caught her eyes lighting up as she turned and ran back to the house, not taking long to pop back up again. "Come on, Little Bird." We walked through the town gates and made our way to the edge of the forest, out of the way of any passerbys, and far enough we wouldn't get in trouble for prolonging our chores. We both assumed our stances, and soon enough the wood clashed. It didn't take long for her sword to be knocked aside. "Gotta be faster, Little Bird." "No fair, it's 'cause you're bigger." She brushed herself off and stood back up. "You can fight giants, you just have to learn to get back up and not let fear get the better of you." She grabbed her sword and stood again, when suddenly we both heard snapping branches. A wolf emerged from the woods, skinny and prowling. We both turned towards it. Get behind me, Karen." She obliged as the wolf stalked forward. I watched as it planned its move and then struck. My wooden sword came up, hitting the wolf in the chest but pushing me back onto the ground. It jumped back, ready to make another attack. As it pounced, I rolled to the side, and suddenly its claw was coming towards my face, until a wooden sword stopped it, hard. Karen rolled back and hit the wolf in the side. The wolf yelped and turned, fleeing back into the woods. I looked over to Kieran, who was standing with her sword resting on the ground. Wide-eyed, she was panting. "Hey, what did I tell you about giants?" She turned to me and smiled. "I did it. I mean, are you okay?" I chuckled. "Perfectly fine, thanks to you." I jumped up and hugged her. "Alright, I think that is enough trying for today, Little Bird. But again tomorrow?" she asked. "We will see. Maybe tomorrow we can fight a bear. Let's hope we don't. Besides, little birds don't fight wolves or bears." As we made our way back into town, she did not stop raving about her heroic moments. I just prayed she did not tell Mother, because I would never hear the end of it. After all, little birds need to be protected, even if sometimes they surprise us. And that concludes my story.
Aw, that was neat.
Thank you. Because I actually don't have a little sister, but it was kind of inspired by Katniss and her sister Prim from the Hunger Games, because I just love their dynamic.
Oh yeah. Katniss and Primrose.
Yes.
Yeah,
My
I can
two
definitely
babies.
tell about the inspiration, and that's a lovely story.
Thank you. It makes me kind of wish I had a little sister, even though if I had a little sister, I'd probably say otherwise.
Oh,
I suppose
I
that's
say
how it usually
otherwise.
I've got a little sister. She used to beat me up all the time.
Yeah, I have a little brother.
Devilish. Mine was devilish. Always got me in trouble. It was her that needed to get in trouble.
Yeah, that's typically how the babies of the family are.
I still love her though.
We only have one last story to go. I need to go AFK for 1 minute, and you guys can discuss the
No
stories that we
worries.
have already recited, and I will be back, because we still have a few minutes before I'm going to start. So, be back in a
You're
minute. Thanks.
Yeah, I think we can all agree, sibling. They know just how to get under your skin. I don't have a little sister, I have a little brother, but man, he gets me sometimes.
We call my little sister Ramona the Pest. And she wouldn't read the books, the Henry Rigsby books, and she was like 50. I'm dating myself now. She was in her 50s when she finally did read the Ramona the Pest book. Which is, man, I was like her, wasn't I? Oh, he was horrible.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Jerry.
What?
Welcome back.
Yeah,
Where'd you go?
I don't know what I hit, but I was out in the middle of nowhere, and some bizarre, I don't know.
That's funny.
Disappeared to the great beyond.
They went to the back rooms.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Last thing he said was, I was expecting more dwarfs, not elves, and then poof. I was like, well,
Okay. Well, I could hear you guys the whole time. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, how do I respond? So it's just, I was talking through Evie, just telling her, stuff to say to you guys.
Yeah, it worked.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Discord channel also has a chat option.
That is true.
Yeah, like the actual
Well,
voice
that's-
chat, you can start chat on there.
Oh
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
actually I'm on Discord, but I do it through my phone. Because when I try to run Discord voice on my computer, it crashes. So I do it on my phone.
That's so odd.
And the buttons are, they're small. And I got big fingers and big old fingers. Sometimes I hit something wrong,
Yeah,
I go
you
away.
put it on and it went,
me.
but I muted myself because I cough a lot, and your stories are so good. I didn't want to interrupt anyone. So I
Well,
muted.
we're just glad to have you here, Jerry. I'm glad you're back from being a ghost.
Yeah. And then you didn't know how to
I'm
unmute,
being
so
the spirits. I'm beyond.
you turned into your Jerry bot.
If I could figure out a way to get a Jerry outfit, he would be around all the time.
All right. Yeah. You're a little low, by the way, in volume. I don't know if that's just me or...
Yeah. I just forgot to thank you. I forgot to put back the volume. Can you hear me all right now?
Yes.
Yes, loud and clear.
No.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. Now this is the time for our last story, which is going to be my short original one, and you guys will be the first people to hear it, basically. And there it goes then. This is going to be a short story about a young ant who lived in Middle-earth before anyone else ever arrived there. Because from the lore, we know that the ants and the forest existed before elves and before men came. And of course, there might be a few, I try to make it very canon compliant. There might be inconsistencies with the canon, but this is what basically fanfiction is for, right? This is the story to be enjoyed, and some events that I made up that happened. So here it goes. Elwood was a little ant. He lived in Middle-earth in the ancient times, when the trees stretched to the sky like mountains, and their top branches touched the clouds. Before any of the children of Iluvatar came to life, giant forests already grew in Middle-earth. Powerful ants walked the world in the time of its spring, and the ground trembled under their feet. Unlike his large siblings, Elwood was still a very small ant, not bigger than a boy in stature. He loved the forest, and called it his home. Every day he talked to the tree roots, to the silvery streams, and to the hard stones. He understood the speech of every creature of his realm. Our story starts one fine morning. Elwood woke up at dawn and ran to the spruce grove, where lay a small shimmering pond. Its waters gleamed like a bright jewel, but were colder than ice to the touch. Elwood crouched at its bank. He threw cones into the center of the pond, and then he watched silver ripples run across the smooth dark surface of the water, and it made him laugh merrily. Suddenly he saw something much more curious, a quick flicker of flame in the thicket. He sprang to his feet immediately, and set off running. For a while he chased the little flame through the forest. At last he came out to a clearing. On a big rock there sat a large bird. Its feathers glowed crimson. Every feather on this odd creature's body seemed to be made of living flame. The bird turned his head, and looked at Elwood with its bright amber eye. The two strangers were observing each other with great interest. The ant decided to introduce himself. "My name is Elwood. I live in this forest. And who are you?" he asked. "My name is Cleo. I am a phoenix," the bird replied. "I was traveling with my flock, but I got separated from them, and now I'm waiting for them here. When they return for me, I can set off on the journey again," the bird explained. "I have never seen anyone like you in our forest before," Elwood admitted. "But I really hope you like it here." "I have never seen anyone like you either," the phoenix replied. "Your eyes shine like emeralds, and your limbs look like branches. Instead of feathers, you have green leaves growing out of your head. You are graceful and slender like a tree, and yet you talk. I find you to be a very beautiful creature," the phoenix concluded. "Not nearly as beautiful as you are," Elwood replied, as he was looking at the bird's glowing crimson feathers. From that day on, Elwood the ant and Cleo the phoenix became friends. Elwood went on long walks with Cleo, showing him around his home. The phoenix loved the forest. Just like the ant, Cleo also saw the wonderful beauty in the sunlit groves, shimmering ponds, and secret glens. Elwood saw the awe and wonder in the eyes of all the forest creatures who beheld the phoenix. He felt joy and pride at his friend's fiery splendor, even if it meant that he could never touch him. As a symbol of their friendship, Elwood plucked one leaf from his green hair, while Cleo plucked out one of his fiery feathers. They put them together on the rock where they had first met, as a token of their union. With the time they spent together, the bond between two friends grew all the stronger. Their first day apart came at the interlude. a great gathering of ants from distant areas. The tree shepherds all gathered in the forest sanctum, where the tallest branches reached the clouds. The trees that grew here already lived before even the oldest of ants came to life. They had been planted by Earth Mother Yavanna herself before the history of the world began. Their trunks grew incredibly thick and tall, like giant columns of a great woodland palace. Little Elwood sat on the hard floor of the woodland palace, which was made of giant intertwining roots. Ancient trees whispered tales of old, in their tree voices which the ants could understand. Their tales spoke of the wars between Malkor and the Valar that were waged before the world had even been shaped. Elwood listened in awe to the stories of great destruction brought by the enemy. In that war, Malkor had powerful servants, the birds of flame. Those terrible creatures burned down many forests, and became the ants' bitterest enemies. The tree shepherds stomped most of them with their powerful feet, and Malkor would them no more. But legend has it, he would go on to make dragons in their image. From then on, Elwood was silent. When the enchantment came to an end, he looked up at his older brothers with big green eyes. Are all of the fiery birds our mortal enemies? He asked them imploringly. Fangorn, the eldest ant, bent down towards Elwood. He looked at him with kindness. He stretched out his palm, and the little ant hopped into it. Fangorn took Elwood into a distant region, to places he had never seen before. The forests still stood here, but it was deadly quiet. No leaves grew here, and no birds sang in the branches. Both the forest and the earth looked black and burnt. Shivers ran down Elwood's spine as he looked upon the dead, burnt trees. "This is the firebird's doing," Fangorn told him. Elwood would never forget the sight of these burnt forests. But he also knew that Cleo was innocent. Even if his friend was closely related to the firebirds that had brought so much destruction, Cleo himself loved the forest as strongly as any ant did. He would never harm a living creature. Of that, Elwood was certain. As soon as he got back home, the little ant hurried to speak to his friend again. But no matter how long he searched, he could not find the phoenix. Panicking thoughts ran through Elwood's mind. Did Cleo decide to sever their bond and never see him again? Or worse, did he come across a large ant who mistook him for the enemy and stomp him out in his rage? After countless days of searching, Elwood finally found his friend. He came to the rock where they had met for the very first time. The green leaf and the fiery feather had been carried away by the wind a long time ago, but the phoenix was still there. He turned his amber eye towards the land. Then he spread his fiery wings and took off, and Elwood knew he could never catch up to a flying phoenix on his own 2 little feet. It was not a happy evening for the young ant. A miserable day turned into restless sleep. Elwood saw dreams of burning forests that were shrieking in agony. These dreams were followed by other dreams, where Cleo was flying away from him. Elwood woke up with a start, imagining that there was fire all around him. At that moment he thought that his forest was indeed burning. But once he finally woke up, he realized that all was safe and quiet. It was only Cleo sitting next to him, with crimson feathers burning, and the glow was almost unbearable in the surrounding dark. "Before we met, I would never have thought that I'd make friends with an ant," the bird said. "But now that I have, I can't live without telling you the full story of my people." And Cleo proceeded on his tale. The firebirds had been created by Malkor in the days of his glory, before Malkor had yet fallen into the dark. At that time, they were known as phoenixes. Just as Malkor had originally been supposed to be the king of the Valar, his phoenixes were considered to be the finest, most glorious creatures of Arda. But then Malkor was consumed by the shadow, and everyone grew distrustful of the firebirds. They feared their bright flame. A lot of the phoenixes had been stomped out by the ants. In their grief and despair, many birds joined Malkor's forces. To revenge their fallen, they burned down huge forests, and the flame of creation turned into the flame of destruction. The Valar finally overthrew Malkor. By that time, there were very few phoenixes left. They became outcasts, and they were always either in hiding or on the move, unable to settle down in one place and call it home. Cleo himself had never witnessed those great battles and destructions. Just like Elwood, he was a very young creature. "I used to think that ants were ruthless monsters," the bird said. "I never knew what they were truly like until I met you." Listening to his friend's tale, Elwood gradually fell asleep. He woke up to the noise of thundering footsteps. He knew immediately that the ants were on the march. Elwood looked up and saw that the sky was burning. Cleo's flock of firebirds was descending upon the forest. Elwood set off running immediately. He had no idea what he was going to do when 2 such powerful forces were about to clash. But he was going to stop them, no matter what. No trees, ants, or phoenixes would get hurt today. Elwood swiftly came to the clearing. The ants' footsteps grew much louder. His large brothers were just around the corner now. Suddenly, the sky blazed with orange and golden fire. Dazed, Elwood stopped and stared at the descending phoenixes. Such was their splendor that he forgot everything else. Watching a flock of firebirds come down from the sky was the most epic moment of Elwood's life. The oldest phoenix descended onto the clearing. He was large as a dragon, and he looked at Elwood with a bright amber eye. The little ant shivered, but at that moment the large ants emerged from the forest. Fangorn was at the front row, busy the others, and so little Elwood was dancing along between the 2 forces, looking defiant. Finally Fangorn spoke. "Phoenixes had been created by Malkor, our enemy," he said in his booming voice. "But we recognize that at your core you are not evil creatures." just like your creator was not able once. In respect of his past glory, we will not wage a new war against you. You may go in peace. The leader of the Phoenixes thanked Fangorn, and the flock took off. Elwood watched their flight, which resembled a dance of golden and crimson flames in the sky. As hard as he tried, he could not tell whether Cleo had reunited and left with his flock. A few days later, Elwood was sitting in the spruce grove, throwing bones into the little pond, looking thoughtful. Suddenly, he noticed a flicker of flame in the thicket. He rushed towards it. Coming out of the clearing, he saw Cleo, his friend. The bird was sitting on the same rock where they had first met. Forgetting caution, Elwood rushed towards him. He threw his arms around Phoenix and hugged him tightly. To his surprise, his body didn't burn. As the green hair touched the fiery feathers, Elwood's green leaves grew longer and greener. And this is the end of the story.
Wow.
So good.
I love Ents.
I know, and he was so cute.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just got an entry the other day in the craft show. I have it sitting on top of my Lord of the Rings book collection. I'm gonna call him Elwood.
Really?
Ah,
I just sent a picture on the Discord server. I'd like to see Elwood.
okay. I'll get I have a picture of him. I'll post it.
If you share it with me, I will take a bard card.
Yeah, you would. Okay, well, I'll share with both.
Oh,
No,
well, I
some of
suppose
you like
that
Don't
concludes
go.
our meeting, but I'm happy to hear all your thoughts about the event.
Hey, Kato.
It was
By the way,
lovely.
Kato joined.
Hey, Kata. Hey, Kata.
I'm so sorry I missed earlier. I was not feeling well, and so had
You're
to
totally
just like
fine.
lay down for a bit.
I really hope you're feeling better now.
I am. I had a good nap, and I feel much better.
Nice, okay.
Sometimes all it takes is a nap.
Yeah, it's we should be
yeah.
thankful
Hopefully,
for...
hopefully somebody recorded it for you.
Yeah, I did. I was recording it, and there will be a stream. Like, I will upload the stream
Good.
video. So you can, obviously, you can...
Awesome.
Everyone can go back and listen to it again.
Yay!
I will be posting the link on the server, the event chat.
Just edit out my technical difficulties.
No, so I'm sorry, like, this is gonna be a long video, and, like, editing it is gonna take a while, so I'm not gonna edit it, but it's all good.
That was a joke. That was
We'll
a
tell
joke.
everyone that you're a bot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bot.
Also, those who enjoyed the story, I will be, as usual, posting it on the server so that you can read it.
It was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
it was
Jairy.
really nice.
I'm very glad that you enjoyed it.
By the way, I was listening earlier and I couldn't talk. And you talked about you wanting to be a high elf or not. Well, just, I don't know, smoke a doobie or something, then you'll be a...
Oh, oh dear.
This is why we can't take you places, Jerry.
Aha.
No.
Wait.
I've been wondering about that all week. No, we love you, Gary.
You do.
It's been decades, but yeah,
I totally missed what Jerry said, to be
yeah,
honest.
been there, done that.
Basically, he said smoke some weed and get high so you can be a high elf.
Yeah.
I do hope I put up recording though.